When we talk about data, what are we really talking about? It's definitely not just a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet. Nope. Behind every single one of those data points is a human story, a birth, a life, a death. It's literally the story of all of us. So today, let's dive into why getting that story exactly right is so important. And this gets to the heart of a pretty alarming problem. In so many countries across Africa, the systems that are supposed to record these major life events are, well, they're just not strong enough. And what that means is that millions of people end up being legally invisible. They don't have that legal identity that is the key to pretty much everything, all their basic rights. So here's the big question, right? If the whole point is to make every single person count, what happens when the count itself is just wrong? When the data is riddled with mistakes? And this isn't some abstract technical problem. It has huge real-world impacts on everything from how we fund our hospitals to how we plan our schools. Let's really dig into that for a second, the actual human cost of bad data. Because when the numbers are off, the consequences are incredibly real. Flawed data means that policies get built on pure guesswork. It means resources like medicine and aid get sent to the wrong places, or maybe they don't get sent at all. Okay, so if the data's wrong, where do we even start looking? Well, this is where we put on our detective hats. To fix the problem, we first have to figure out what's causing it. We've got to uncover the hidden culprits, those common mistakes that can turn a crystal clear picture into a complete mess. Let's take a classic case, something called age heaping. Just imagine a field worker out in a rural village doing a survey. She asks an elderly woman, "How old are you?" Now, she might not know her exact birthday, so she'll guess, "Oh, I'm about 70. Then her neighbor says he's around 55. When you take all that data and put it on a chart, you see these giant spikes at ages ending in 0 and 5. It's just an honest estimation, but it totally skews the real age profile of the whole community. And the tricky part is, these little mistakes can sneak in at any point in the data's journey. It could be a reporting error happening right there in the village interview. A simple typo, a slip of the finger during data entry, well, that's a clerical error. A misprint can mess up the final report that everyone reads. Heck, even a small mistake during the final analysis can lead to a tabulation error. Every single step is a place where things can go wrong. Okay, so we've seen the crime scene, we know the usual suspects. So what's next? Well, now comes the real detective work. We need a proper toolkit, a set of checks and balances to clean up the data and make sure it's as accurate as humanly possible. Think of this as the essential 5-point health check for any data set. First, you compare it to data from past years to see if there are any weird jumps. Then you hunt for any missing information. You've got to weed out the duplicates and be careful not to accidentally delete the records of twins. Then you look for outliers, impossible things, like a mother listed as being 10 years old. And of course, you check for that age heaping we were just talking about. Now, any good detective has a couple of different ways to approach a case, right? It's the same here. A direct assessment is kind of like going door to door. You literally compare registration records one by one against another source, like a health survey, to see who's missing. An indirect assessment is more like looking at a satellite map. You use these big demographic models and census data to estimate how complete the registration system is overall. You really need both to get the full story. So, after all this meticulous, nitty-gritty work, what's the big payoff? Well, this is where it gets really powerful. Clean, high-quality data isn't just about being accurate. It's about being able to tell clear, compelling stories that can actually drive real change. I mean, just look at this. It's a perfect example. On the left, the countries are just listed alphabetically. Can you quickly see the trend? It's really tough. Now look to the right. Just by sorting the bars from smallest to largest, the story becomes instantly, blindingly obvious. How you present the data matters a lot. And it's the exact same idea with design. The chart on the left is so busy. It's full of distractions, that heavy background, all those extra lines. It's just hard to read. The chart on the right strips away all that noise. The super minimal design lets the data itself take center stage so it can tell its story without any interruptions. And really, it all comes together right here. This is the magic formula. Great data visualization isn't just one thing. It has to start with rigorous, accurate analysis. That's our clean data. Then it needs compelling storytelling to give it meaning. And finally, it needs clean, simple design to make it easy to understand. It's the fusion of all three that creates real impact. So this leaves us with one last big thought to mull over. If we agree that data tells the official story of our communities, of our nations, and of us as a people, then getting the data quality right isn't just a technical thing. It's a moral thing. It's about fairness. It's about representation. And it's about making absolutely sure that in the story of our future, not a single person is left out. Not one.